Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First thing first, let me introduce myself. My name is Farha Fauzia. I'm from 2021 ICP Geography Education class. I made this video to fulfill an assignment for the ESM Professional Teacher course. The material that I will present on this occasion is Introduction to Geography. Basically, when we're discussing about this material, there are three important things that you must know, guys. Namely is principle of geography, approach to geography, and 10 concepts of geography. First is principle of geography. Based on the result of the seminar of the Association of Indonesian Geographers in 2088 in Semarang, they agree on the formulation that geography is a science that studies the similarities and differences of geosphere phenomena from a regional or environmental perspective in a spatial context. There are 4 principles of geography, that is, distribution, interrelation, description, and chorology or spatiality. First, distribution. The principle of distribution that symptoms and phenomena are distributed unevenly and unequally on the surface of the earth. The symptoms or phenomena can be physical phenomena or social phenomena. Geography phenomena that can be studied include natural landscape, plants, animals, and humans. This principle can be used to review relationship between phenomena as a whole. The distribution principle is also used to predict future conditions. Examples of the distribution principle are the distribution of flora and fauna in Indonesia, the distribution of water potential, and the distribution of transmigrant population in Indonesia. Principle of interrelation. The principle of interrelation is the interrelated relationship between one phenomenon and other geographical phenomena in space. This interrelated relationship can occur between physical phenomena and social phenomena. In essence, this principle can be used to analyze the relationship between symptoms in a space that influence each other. Examples of this principle are drought that occur due to the impact of the La Nina phenomenon, flood phenomena that occur due to deforestation in upstream areas, and tsunami in an area after a sea earthquake. Description principle. The next principle of geography is the principle of description. This principle is used to explain further the phenomena on Earth that can be observed. The distribution and relationship of the symptoms and phenomena are usually presented in the form of graphs, data, or maps. Examples of the descriptive principle are the depiction of unemployment rates in West Java province, graphic maps of tectonic plates in the world, maps of ocean areas in the Middle East region, and land as maps to analyze areas and locations. Principle of chorology. Lastly, there is the principle of chorology. This principle is the most comprehensive because it is a combination of the 3 previous principles. Each geographical symptoms or phenomenon is studied by combining the principle of distribution, interrelation, and description. The principle of chorology can show difference in symptoms, phenomena, and fact between region. Examples of using this principle are For example, to understand air temperature problems, it is necessary to research the difference in air temperature and rural and urban areas, the causes of cool air in rural areas, and the influence of the number of trees in village on cool air temperature in rural area compared to urban areas. Another example, finding out about the development gap on the island of Java and the eastern island of Indonesia, requires researching the amount of resources on the two islands, the reason why development on the island of Java is more advanced, and so on. Okay, now let's talk about geographical approach. The geography approach is divided into three, that is, spatial approach. The spatial approach is an attempt to study a series of similarities between different geosphere phenomena in space. Spatial analysis is a unique approach in geography because it is the study of the diversity of the Earth's surface by discussing each of its spatial aspects. This geography approach is used as a medium to determine distribution maps in the use of existing space. Apart from that, I can also be a geography tool in saying the provision of space that will be used for various basic functions. In other words, this approach allows a geographer to carry out structure and holistic analysis and research on the existence of a space that is the object. For example, namely watershed, land use, or damage or land. Okay, next is environmental approach or ecology. The environmental approach is an instrument rather than a geographic approach to determine the relationship between the element in an environment. This is related to the environment between living creatures and living creatures or living creatures and their natural environment. The environmental approach is also called ecology because it carry out research and analysis of interactions and symbiosis between living organisms and their environment. An example of an environmental approach, namely that use of humans on their environment to make something positive. The last approach is regional complex approach. In contrast to the two approaches above, this complex regional or regional approach is a fusion of spatial and environmental approaches. The existence of interaction between regions will allow development to occur. This can happen because literally a region on Earth has several differentiating elements in each region. This differentiating element occurs because there are elements in different space, but in terms of quality and quantity. An example of a complex regional approach, namely that people who build a house must look at the characteristic of the region and the surrounding environment. For example, a house built on the beach will have a solid and strong foundation. Next, let's talk about concept of geography. There are 10 basic concepts of geography. That is location. The concept of location discusses the location or spatial position of certain objects on the Earth's surface. In general, location is divided into two, namely absolute location and relative location. Absolute location is a location or place as seen from latitude and longitude. The absolute location is fixed because it is guided by the Earth's astronomical lines. An example of an absolute location is Indonesia's astronomical location at 6 degrees north to 11 degrees south and 95 degrees east to 141 degrees east. Relative location is a location or place that is seen from other areas around it. The relative location can change according to the objects around it. An example of relative location is the geographical location of Indonesia, which is location between the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, as well as the Asian continent and the Australian continent. Distance. Distance is the space that connects two locations or two objects. The concept of distance is divided into two, namely absolute distance and relative distance. Absolute distance is the distance between two places measured based on a straight line in the air that is easy to measure on a map. For example, the distance from Jakarta to Malang. Then, relative distance can be expressed in terms of distance traveled, but in relation to the travel time required and unit transportation cost. For example, the distance from Jakarta to Malang by plane is 1 The distance from Jakarta to Malang by plane is 1.5 hours. Affordability. This geographical concept refers to the ease of reaching an object which is influenced by the geographical condition of an area. For example, from Jakarta, it will be easier to reach the city of Padang than the Mentawai Island. Pattern. This concept refers to the arrangement of distribution of phenomena on the surface of the earth. For example, population settlement pattern in coastal area extend along the coastline. Morphology. Morphology describes the manifestation of land on the face of the earth, which is the result of the process of lifting or lowering areas through geological processes. Examples include islands, large plains, mountains, and valleys. Agglomeration. This geography concept is a tendency for cluster distribution in an area. For example, urban residential areas tend to live in clusters resulting in residential grouping such as elite area, slum area, and so on. Interaction and interdependence. This concept related to reciprocal relationship or interdependence between regions. For example, the relationship between village and cities. Cities residents need food from the village, while village residents need technology from the city. Use value. Use value refers to the advantage that a particular place or region has and has different use value based on its function. For example, areas that have beautiful nature are suitable as tourist area. Area differentiation. Area differentiation describes the uniqueness or characteristics between one region and another. An example of this concept is that people who live on the coast work as fishermen, while mountain residents usually work in gardens or fields. And the last concept is space interconnection. This concept shows the level of relation between regions. For example, downstream area experience flooding due to development taking place in upstream area. Yes, I think that's enough explanation regarding my material. Thank you so much for attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.